Kurtis looking deep down the left side. Mendeville into the end zone. Touchdown!
Down the sideline, still falling to the house.
And the players streaming from the sideline to celebrate with 17 seconds left.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to BVarsity Live. I'm Zach Ewing. I'm back after
Zach's
a 2-week
back!
absence, for better or for worse. Some people would disagree on whether that's a good thing or not, including you over there.
Yeah, I say it in jest. I'm glad you're back. I
All
missed
right.
you, buddy.
Okay. Well, I'm back, and the family's grown, and so, you know, all that sort of stuff, the craziness at home. What time did I get here today? Like 10 minutes ago?
Yeah.
Baby was crying on the bed. Okay, I got to go. You know, it's just that sort of life right now.
Yeah, but Chris and I, Chris, our director, and I, we were talking about it. We're going to give you a little, you got about 3 weeks, and then it's over.
3 weeks of leeway, and then
you got about 3 weeks of leeway, and then after that.
I'll be lashed when I come in late.
Yeah, I'm going to give you up until the last game of the regular season. So we'll give you up till, like November 4th, and then after that, you're done.
The cool thing about this is that I'm the boss, so I'll say how much leeway I get.
I'll talk to Lewis.
All right, then. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Hey, today we've got a special trio of guests in the studio. Liberty football, their coach Bryan Nixon, also standout defensive lineman Kurtis Brown and quarterback Jordan Love. How are you guys doing?
Good.
And Liberty 2-3, only played 5 games so far, which is one issue with the season. Obviously, Bryan, there are things this year that have not gone exactly according to how you planned them, but I almost hesitate to say that because you schedule so difficult in your non-conference. It's almost like you wanted some bumps in the road.
Well, you want to learn about your football team, and I think we're able to do that by scheduling the people we were able to schedule. We did not have the time where you just went and go, oh, this was a cakewalk, let's go rock and roll through this. This was a chance for us to see how this team handled adversity, and we definitely got a good taste of adversity over the course of our preseason, and I think we've grown from it.
Yeah, season started on a Saturday night with Mission Viejo. They beat you guys, and also, Jordan, you were hurt in that game.
Yeah.
Not a concussion officially, right? Just
Nope, just a head injury.
Some sort of a head injury where.
Brian, what was the name that you called him as he was sitting there on the trainer's table? Do you remember?
Yeah, probably stud or
no, it was
big
nothing.
time player. I don't
No,
I
it
don't
was
know if I
nothing
called
near
him
that.
anything bad.
Might have
All
been Cupcake, I think.
Yeah.
Sweetheart.
Well, that's always a scary thing, head injuries. We know that's a big point in football. You had to sit out the following week in a loss to Ridgeview, and then you guys sort of seemed to right the ship at Buchanan, come back home against Cathedral Catholic. We won't talk too much about that game, Brian, but suffice it to say, probably never seen anything like it as a coach.
Never. Not even watching it on TV have I seen 8 turnovers the way that they happened for us. And it was just one of those things that anytime you give another team 8 extra chances to touch the football, you don't give yourself much of a chance to win. That being said, we had 5 turnovers at halftime and still felt that we had a great chance to win that football game.
I think until the 8th turnover, right? It really wasn't over. I mean, it sounds crazy to say that, but and then you have a bye week, your second bye week, because you lost the game with Central due to the bad air quality up there. And then you sort of right the ship again, as we're watching right now, some highlights against Frontier. You guys really took it to them last week. Question for you guys, Kurtis, does it feel like this time you've righted the ship for good? Because you felt like that against Buchanan, at least from the outside looking in, and then you had the hiccup against Cathedral Catholic. Does this one feel different or more permanent?
This one feels more permanent. We're early in the season, we were making a lot of mistakes, not being in our right spots. And this time we're finally working together and coming as a team to get those hiccups out of the way.
Do you sense that too, Jordan?
Yeah, definitely. Rough start to the season, but we've kind of fixed that. A lot of practice. Just the start of league, we know more about the teams in league since we've played them like our whole life. So we know just how to beat them, I guess.
Now, mathematically speaking, and I know sometimes it doesn't matter to people, but you guys have had by far the toughest schedule in the Central section. And Bryan, you touched on how that kind of builds the season for you. Was there ever a point during all that adversity where one of you guys felt like maybe we're not the team we thought we were going to be? We're not a championship team. I mean, was there ever a down moment like that?
Never, no. I always knew this is a group. We're a good group. I mean, it's definitely not the same team as last year, but it's a new year, and this is our team. So,
how about you, Kurtis? What was the low point?
I would say probably losing to Cathedral Catholic by 8 turnovers. That didn't make us look good at all.
Kurtis, I got a question for you about that. As a defensive player, every time you guys are coming back on the field, did that game maybe give you guys a little bit more confidence as a defense because you had to kind of buckle down even more and more and more? And even after the 8 turnovers, you guys only gave up 24 points to those guys.
It gave us a lot of confidence to come out there and stop them every time. But we would trust our offense no matter what, how many 8 turnovers, even 50 turnovers. We'll still trust them no matter what.
Wow.
That's a
says
smile,
lot.
Bryan. I
Now,
like that.
if the turnover fairy had come to you before that game and said, okay, you're going to turn the ball over 10 more times this season, might as well get 8 of them out of the way in one game, right? And then you're pretty good to go for the rest of the year. Just lose that one. And no, but seriously, this week you guys have Stockdale. It's a strange situation for Stockdale because Coach Brett Shelton has been suspended. Dave Lonsinger's taking over for the Mustangs, which is a blast from the past for you, Coach.
Right, definitely. Dave's a great guy. Brett's a great guy, and our thoughts are with him as well, and hope everything turns out okay. And he's a hard-working guy, and to see Coach Lonsinger come back and be on the sideline again is going to be fun. He's a great man and has been in this game for a long time.
Might be the nicest man I've ever met, too.
He is very nice.
Dave might be I mean, it's incredible how happy he always is when I see him on track.
For those who don't know or who are not old enough to remember, he coached David Carr in high school, among other players. So he's obviously knows his stuff. He knows the passing game. Do you expect any changes? Or, I mean, you really don't know what to expect because you can't necessarily trust the film, right?
Right. At this point, I don't know if he's going to come in and change anything in 2 days or put his twist on something. But we'll just have to wait till game time and make adjustments if we need to.
Guys, Stockdale is a pretty big rivalry for you guys, and you got after them pretty good last year. Their record says they're 1-5 this year. I think you probably see on film they're better than that, right?
Definitely. They're not a 1-5 team. They're a pretty good team this year. So.
How about you, Kurtis? What do you see on film from them?
Yeah, they're a very fast and physical team. They played some good competition, so it'll be good.
Had Clovis down in the third quarter and lost that game, and lost really a lot of close games. Lost to Arroyo Grande by one or 2 points. And so it could be one of those games that's closer than it looks on paper. But I think going through this league, like you said, Jordan, you know those teams, they know you. Does every game sort of feel like that it could be closer than you want it to be just because of the familiarity factor?
Yeah. I mean, just because every game's kind of rivalry in our league, it's always a lot closer, and it means a lot more than just a normal game. So.
And last week against Frontier, that really worked out well for you guys. What was the key to that, you think? What was clicking well?
Offense clicked well. We didn't have 8 turnovers like the week before.
That helps.
But yeah, it definitely helps. Defense is stopping them. Everything was clicking for us.
Ask you one more question about the turnovers. Were they bad luck? Were they mistakes? Were they what? I mean, I know there's a lot that can go into them, but at some point you just feel like the football gods are against you that night.
It was a combination of both. I mean, mistakes mixed with bad luck. I mean, the ball was just not bouncing our way. So.
Did you change balls or something, Bryan? I still can't get over this.
No, it just bounced different ways. They had a tip ball, and they'd have a linebacker come in, and he'd scoop
Why
it
doesn't
up.
Braxton move his arm, by the way? I'm still trying
Are
to
you
figure
even
that
listening?
out. Yeah, I'm listening, but I'm also looking at video. Sorry.
Okay. Anyway, Bryan, you were saying.
This is one of those things, and the first one came, it was kind of a shank putt that hit our guy. I mean, that's one of those things you can't really do a whole lot about.
Right.
And the ball bounces funny ways. That's why it's oblong, and that night it definitely bounced their way, and they were hustling and made plays.
It kind of reminds me of that baseball game yesterday where the throwback to the pitcher hits the bat and causes a run. And these things happen in sports, I guess. The rest of the league season playoffs, I guess the downside of the losses is maybe it costs you a seed line or two down the road. You never know. I mean, do you think about that? Do you care about that? Does it matter what you're seeded?
Doesn't matter to me what we're seeded. I mean, pass, we're going to move on, get better every week. So seeds don't matter to me.
That comes from you, doesn't it, Bryan?
That came from him. But, yeah, I mean, that's kind of our thought process as we go through this thing is preseason's preseason, and we talk about phase 1, phase 2, and we've always talked about that. We're in phase 2, and we got to continue to get better, and the cliche thing is week by week. And if we get out of our own way sometimes, we're going to be okay.
Bryan, in this instance where you guys were, 2 and 3, you had those 2 weird bye weeks. I mean, you and I have talked about this enough. But, I mean, At what point do you talk to these guys and just say, stop listening to all the outside chatter and just know what you can do as a group together and move forward?
He was saying that in August.
Yeah.
Probably in June, yeah.
Yeah.
We had a good talk about that last week, actually, and I thought the kids responded very well. And I think they're to the point now that it is about us and what we do and how we prepare and how our weekly preparation does. And that's going to, show on Friday nights.
I'm serious, though. I mean, he probably was saying this stuff over the summer, but does it take a while to sink in? Does it take a loss or two in a learning experience for that to sink in?
Yeah, it definitely takes a few. Even the Mission Viejo loss was still woke us up a little bit that we're not what we thought we were.
In what way? I mean, I know there were some mistakes made in that game. What was it? Hey, we're not as good as we thought we were, or hey, we just have work to do to get where we want to be?
We just have to have work. We need to work harder and get off our pedestal that we thought we were on.
You agree with that, Jordan?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, coming this season, I feel like we kind of were basing our season this year off last year, but it's not last year's team, so we had to learn from that game to know that we have to work hard to get to where we were last year, but we just have to work even harder if we want to be there again.
Speaking of last year's team, I know Stavros was in the stands. I know he talked to you guys afterwards on Friday night. Did anything that he said, and for those that don't know, Stavros Katsantonis was a starting safety for you guys last year, now plays at University of British Columbia. Jordan, was there anything that he talked to you about, just kind of learning curve, knowing what you guys had dealt with while he wasn't around?
I mean, just not having Stavi around a lot of the seniors. It was a great leader last year. Really led us well, and seeing him at the game, I know it helped a lot of us, see that he wants to come back and watch us this year because he knows what we can do and that we can take that game and go win it just by seeing him.
Right.
So.
That kind of brings up a larger point that you guys lost every starter you had in the secondary. That was the one question mark everybody pointed to at the beginning of the year. Mission Viejo exploited that a little bit. Of course, they've got one of the best passing games in the state. Other than that, Kurtis, we'll ask you as a defensive guy. I mean, it seems like everything's been pretty smooth back there as in the secondary. Is that right?
Yeah, everything's been good. Klugo has been stepping up. Braxton and Johnny have been doing a great job back there.
Was that ever a concern for you that, hey, we got to get more pressure on the quarterback or we got to do our job more because we're worried about those guys?
No, not at all. Everyone just needs to do their job to play a great game.
Bryan, for you, Johnny Balderas, junior wide receiver, defensive back for you guys, Shafter guy like you are, how much of his situation are you willing to talk about and just, what he's kind of been able to overcome and kind of do for you guys on and off the field?
Excuse me. Johnny's a great young man. He had to overcome, and his grandmother was raising him, and she passed, and he had to move in with his uncle. And if he wants to expand on any of that, I'll let him do that.
Of course.
But he's been a Shafter kid all his life, and to move into Bakersfield, I mean, he's known Bakersfield, of course, but to move to a different school and do those types of things, it was difficult, and I think it was a little bit of adjustment for him, but now I think he's been embraced by our football team. I know him and Kurtis have known each other for a long time, and he's really coming into his own. He had a great night Friday night and a lot of smiles on his face as he continues to grow in our program. He's just fun to watch, so it's kind of a good story for Johnny to have a little success here.
Kurtis, can you talk about your buddy a little bit more? Shut down Johnny, as I like to call him.
Yeah, Johnny is a great athlete. He works hard on and off the field. We've known each other since even, I think, 7th grade year, GYF. Even back then, he was a beast, working hard.
Right.
You hear he's coming on board. I mean, your eyes light up a little bit, right?
Yeah.
When he's moving in.
Yeah.
Well, hey, what do you say we take a quick break here, and we'll come back with more with Bryan Nixon, Kurtis Brown, Jordan Love, the Liberty Patriots, after this on BVarsity Live.